Hello. It's Friday. Friday, not for you, because you're not watching this on Friday. You're probably watching this on a different day. I'm going to continue, not a long video today, kind of a reasonable length. Talking about organizational structures. That's been this week's theme. Organizational structures, we had some vocabulary to deal with already. I think I reviewed that. And I talked about the tall structures here. They're sometimes called traditional, sometimes called hierarchical, sometimes called tall. There's many words they use for these structures. These are structures that have been used since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. These structures are fairly useful for mass production. The questions that people have is how flat or how many layers. Typically, a traditional structure will have at least four layers. Might look like this. You got your departments, operations, human resource, different managers, support, team leaders, and then the staff. So this one has 6 levels, but remember the chain of command is the connection. So it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the chain of command between the staff and the CEO. Now I'm gonna put this, upload this to the classroom. It's a very good PowerPoint about this topic. Flat hierarchy typically has 3, chain of command of 3, usually not too much more than that. It's flatter, obviously. And it's not going to be, you're not going to use it for such a huge organization. It's going to be hard to use. Although there are some strategies you could have to use that. So what I want to do is I want to think about these comparisons between these tall and flat structures today. And I'm going to use our book on page 92 and 93 to do some definitions and just get the terminology down. And then I'm going to talk about a comparison between flat versus tall. And then that'll be it for today. So on page 92, talking about organizational restructuring. Restructuring means changing redesigning the structure. Now let's see, why would you do that? Well, we don't need as many middle managers. We're outsourcing part of the business now. We don't need to do that. In our outsourcing means that you get another company to do it. So if I was Nike and I had my own factories before, and now I'm going to hire somebody else to make my shoes, then I don't need to have a human resource department that's going to have to spend, all their time hiring thousands of factory worker staff. So I can eliminate that. That would be a big change, though. That would be a major change. I don't have, and then that's not my control anymore. I can focus on, so Nike might want to focus on its creativity, and its major focus would be innovative shoes and marketing. Both of those are creative, so they need to have a system or an organization that promotes creativity. Whereas if they were a company that did their own manufacturing of their own shoes, that would be a quality control based company, and they'd have to think differently about their management structure. So that's an example of different kinds of structures with different kinds of goals. Okay, so for that point that I just made there, it was called transformational change. When a business decides that its internal structure requires changing, the managers need to decide how major the change will be and how this change will be implemented. Change can be major or transformational or minor. A major change involves complete restructuring, new systems, change workstations, communication systems, and usually databases and technology. Minor changes only affect certain operations of certain few employees. It does not mean that you need to change the entire structure. This could require technological change, such as new software. I think that last part of the paragraph is incomplete. Minor change, maybe one unit, one department, and a transformational change means that you're changing the goals of the company. So the example I gave was Nike. Nike's going to outsource its production, so now it's going to focus on its creativity instead of its quality control. So that would mean that you would want to change the structure to be less Baotou or conservative. Major structural change, page 93, in a business usually involves the reorganization of relationships within the business. The organization might choose to move from one of the traditional hierarchical structures to a flatter structure, such as a matrix or team organization. We'll talk about matrix next week. When an organizational chart is to change, there are several aspects that need to be considered, such as employee empowerment. That means decision making. So again, so we have those terms that go together. Decision making is either centralized in one place, like one manager or one boss, or decentralized, and that means that staff had more freedom to do their jobs in different ways. So employee empowerment is the process of giving that freedom to employees to make decisions. Teams, flatter structures, diversification. Diversification means two things. It means for employees, it means they do different tasks at work. And for companies, diversification means that they have different product offerings. And outsourcing, which we have to get to. So this is just a lot of terms. Outsourcing, again, means that you hire another company to do a function of your business as a contract. In other words, you don't manage their staff. They have an outcome. They're supposed to complete your accounting. You hire the accounting company, they complete it. You don't manage their staff. The point of outsourcing is that they're more efficient at doing that than you are, or cheaper than you are at doing that. And you can focus better on what you're good at. So outsourcing, we have to talk about that in a network. So there's four things. We're talking about tall structures, flat structures, matrix structures, and the last one is called network, which we'll get to next week. But right now, I'm just trying to compare tall and flat. Employee empowerment. I don't know why it says number one. Empowering employees is all about ensuring that there is a two-way relationship between managers and employees. In many business environments, organizations must rely on intangible factors such as knowledge and intellect and creativity, which can only be obtained from people within the business. We need to improve or even understand our customers better. Empowering employees means that every individual is trusted to make decisions to some degree. Everyone is encouraged to give feedback and to sometimes make changes if agreed upon. The level of employee empowerment can range from encouragement to assist with decision making to allowing individuals to make certain kinds of decisions. Now, the higher skill the employee, the more decision-making power you would give them. Extreme example would be a doctor, right? You don't want the manager of the hospital. The manager of a hospital, their job is to basically promote the hospital, try to keep quality control, and to get customers. They don't tell the doctors what to do. The doctors are completely empowered by their knowledge and education to make decisions, which is different from a factory worker who would probably not make decisions about how many shoes to produce, or how long the production line should last, or how many shoes they can produce a day. That's not really up to them, right? So more skilled employees have more decision-making power, and that's based on knowledge power. Teams, talking about teams. A team can be thought of as a group of workers who are on the same level of a hierarchy in a department. So it could be a creative situation, it could be a situation where they need to work from project to project, and they need to be able to quickly adapt to new situations. So team is not really a structure, it's a strategy inside a structure, and typically with flatter structures. Although you could put a team into a taller structure to try to get more creativity, which is what I was saying yesterday. Let's look at their examples. The employees at furniture traders are encouraged to assist in decision making. Every piece of furniture that is manufactured by the factory floor staff is subject to their own quality control and inspections. The employees are regularly meeting with managers to discuss potential improvements to the manufacturing process. Those are empowered employees. Teams. Teams are groups of employees working together in the same division or in the same project. When they say division, they also mean department. Or on the same project within an organization. Teams can be virtual in that a group of employees can communicate through Zoom or email, telephone, whatever. Each team is united by a common purpose and has a specific goal to achieve. So it's a focused group, it should be. Team members need to be adaptable, that's a key word, highlight, and flexible, and they must be encouraged, they are generally encouraged to be innovative and generate new ideas. Usually this is a creative process. Teams need to be able to communicate and resolve conflicts. One version of teams present in organizations is called a quality circle, which creates suggestions for improvements in safety, manufacturing processes, and other areas important to the business. So you can have a team of supervisors from different parts of the organization who gets together and tries to improve the whole process from the top to the bottom. So don't think of team as a structure, think of team as a strategy. Flattening the organizational chart. Flattening. We're going to flatten it. You know, it's tall and they want to flatten it. Sometimes you can call that delayering. And I will put up a slide of delayering. So you can imagine a company that's delayering. They have layers in the hierarchy. And in this case, they would like to take out some of the management. They don't need to have them as much. They want to maybe empower employees to make more decisions, so they need less managers. In this case, this company, we don't know what they are, but they have a regional manager, an area manager, shop manager, some other supervisors, and then the shop staff. But afterwards, they decide that they're going to eliminate part of this hierarchy and that the area managers do not really do much, and we can give their responsibility to the shop managers. And also, the supervisors within the shops probably are not as necessary as they think, and so they're going to let the shop staff have more responsibility. So if you're going to flatten the organizational structure and create less levels, in this case it goes from 5 levels, kind of tall, to 3 levels, which is kind of flat, then you are going to have more responsibility in the hands of each person in the organization. Which means that you're going to have to think about how you hire them and the skills involved in what they need. You know, you're going to have to change their job descriptions to fit the new roles. So that's called delayering or flattening the organizational chart. 3, page 93. Many organizations remove the middle layer of management, which is shown in some charts above. This is an example of removing middle layers of management. As these positions are removed, the frontline managers and employees become more responsible and accountable as work is delegated to them. So you can imagine in some cases the employees would not be happy to be stuck with even more work than they had before. So if they have more responsibility, if you want to motivate, which is what we're going to talk about later, if you want to motivate employees, you have to pay them for all the extra work they're doing. Although, one reason why some structures get flattened is because the company is trying to save money, because management is more expensive than employees. Page 94. The use of teams is generally increased in an organization that has become flatter, as well as the development of a less formal chain of command and a much broader span of control. So you can imagine those 2, maybe 3 things. So communication is easier because there's less levels. There's expected communication. Everybody's in contact with each other. That's what they mean by less formal chain of command. The broader span of control is because there's less supervisors. So now the shop manager might have 3 supervisors here, and then each supervisor has 5 shop staff. But now the shop manager just manages 15 shop staff. So their span of control is wider. They have more employees under them. Generally, the working environment is one which encourages innovation and asking employees to share what they feel is their best practices or the best way that they can serve customers. They consider quality control. They are supportive and focus on continuous improvement of the product or service. So that's kind of a Japanese concept we'll talk about next year called Kaizen. It's called continuous improvement. Diversification. Again, we're just clarifying these terms right now. I'm going to put them in context with the next video. Business concepts. The CEO of a retail business called Susie's has revised their organizational structure to remove 1 layer of management. So this increases the span of control of the CEO. Okay, fair enough. Diversification. The reason why they're talking about this here is only, I think, because they're just trying to make a case for reminding you that companies become flatter because they need to be more competitive or innovative, and the market is changing so fast. So if you're a tall structure and you're very conservative and all decisions are made by the people at the top who basically are out of touch with the customers, then you may end up with a situation where, like Nokia phones, it gets old and they cannot compete with the new competitors like Apple. Diversification involves either the expansion of existing products and markets or the creation of totally new products and markets. Of course, it's going to be easier in a flatter structure. A business might consider diversifying by creating new products or services for existing markets, selling to new markets, or in the rare case, a flying car, a new product for a new market. Who wants a flying car anyway? The last term to focus on here is outsourcing. Outsourcing involves offering contracts, important word, we just finished contracts to not workers, that is wrong, what the book says, offering contracts to other companies, please correct that in your book, offering contracts to other companies who are not part of the organization to complete parts of the job, parts of the whatever it is. It doesn't matter if it's a departmental function, an administrative function, a market research function, a production and distribution function, it does not matter. All of that is outsourcing. A business might commonly outsource its office cleaning service. This school might outsource its canteen and hire another company to do it, for example. They might outsource specific engineering projects, a special part they need for an airplane. They don't know how to make it. They want to call in an expert. They have an expert, they outsource it. Usually outsourcing is used for parts of the business that are not considered essential to the core goals or mission. Half true. Yes, Nike makes sense for them to outsource their production if they can find good enough factories to make the quality of shoes that they need to sell. Their quality control is also important, right? Quality control means consistent, perfect shoes for them. But also, outsourcing is possible to do when it's something that you know that somebody can do better than you and cheaper than you. So you don't really need to do it. It says usually, right? Usually outsourcing is used for parts of the business that are not considered essential. There might be something that you need that you just don't have the expertise to do. You know, if you have, you're good at computers, you're making laptops, but you still need Intel company to make the chips. You can make the whole computer, but you're not good at making microchips. You need another, so it depends, right? You might have someone who's just better at making something or the best at making something, and you want to have the best components, the best ingredients. So you can outsource for many reasons. To focus on your best. Nike wants to focus on its marketing and on its design. But you can also choose it because you know that another company does it either better quality than you, cheaper than you, cheaper and better quality, or perhaps they have the latest equipment, right? Sometimes, like if you have your own factory, you have to keep updating it. You have to keep fixing it. Every 5 years, you have to have, update your machines and replace everything. If you can just hire someone who's already got the factory and does the replacement themselves, you can have the most modern factory all the time by changing your suppliers. So outsourcing can help you to have the most up-to-date technology involved as well in your production and other departments. So outsourcing, there's many reasons for it. So now let's look at the video or the slideshow for a bit, just to compare some of the pluses and minuses of these tall and flat structures. That was Miss Jessica. All right, so excuse me. What happened? All right, so like I said, I'll share this whole thing with you. It's very useful. Comments on tall structures. So tall versus flat. Key features. Features means the things that are definitional about a tall structure. It has many layers of hierarchy. and typically narrow spans of control because employees need to be watched over carefully. And that's what the second one says, tighter control. So there's not much empowerment of employees, there's not much decision making for employees. So management has tighter control. When you have more layers, you also have more competition between employees to get promotions and to move up the hierarchy. So there's more opportunities for promotion. Communication is slower. That's a very general statement, but it's true, pretty much. Communication is slower to go from the top to the bottom of the hierarchy because there's more layers. And the costs associated are going to be higher, right? Management is more expensive than staff. So the more managers you have, the more expensive your entire staff cost is going to be. Staff costs are generally one of the 2 or 3 highest costs for almost any organization. So costs are going to be higher. Compare that with the flat structure. Key features and comments on a flat structure. Flat structure, less layers of hierarchy and more span of control. Employees don't have to be watched so carefully. They're given more power to make decisions, and therefore they don't need as much supervision. There's more delegation of responsibility. But on the other hand, one thing that can be a problem with motivation in a flat structure is, well, there's 2 things, main things. One is that there's nowhere to go. There's only, there's not many management positions. So if if the employees have a career-minded, a feeling to achieve this status of their career or to move up the ladder, that doesn't really happen in a flatter. There's nowhere to really be promoted to in a flatter hierarchy or flatter structure. So that's one problem. Another problem is that within the team, when you have people working together, it tends to be flatter and work in teams. It's harder for individual employees to stand out and be recognized for their quality of their work. But you do have a benefit, right? You have that feeling of working with other people. So it depends on where you sit on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So some people need to belong, and that's more important to them than status. So that can work for, that's level 4 status. That can work well in some companies. Communication should be improved because everybody knows everybody and there's less layers. And there's less staff overall and less managers, so the cost should be a bit lower. Delayering, why do you do it? There's one benefit is lower labor cost, but other benefits should be is that you can have more, employee empowerment, decision making is faster, communication is faster, and employees should have more creativity in the job. Delegation. Delegation is a term to give authority or to give responsibility to someone. If you are able to delegate responsibility, this, of course, shifts the workload onto the employee. It allows senior management to focus on key tasks. The employees, if they're getting paid well enough, if they're not getting paid well enough, it's going to kill them. They're going to be like, oh my God, I'm working so hard for nothing. But if you pay them well, then they're going to be feeling like, yes, I'm doing something very valuable for the company and I'm being paid for it. So they should be motivated if they're getting, but they really need to get paid well. Better decisions or use of resources, potentially, and the employees always feel better when they're being taught new skills, and so lots of training is involved, and that usually makes employees feel empowered as well. Some people can't do it. Some people can't delegate. They feel that they are, it's their baby and they can't let other people make decisions. So that can be a problem. And some management, they don't trust their employees to take that responsibility and to be able to do the job. And it really depends on the quality and the skill and the difficulty in finding good employees. And here at the end, it may increase the stress of subordinates, which means the staff. Employee empowerment, what do I want to talk about here? I think I will come back to part of this. Because what I want to do is I want to compare these tall and flat structures here one more time in a different way in terms of advantages and disadvantages. So, what do we expect from a tall organization is that we expect them to have pretty good quality control. That there will be discipline, that everybody will follow directions because the information is coming very clearly from the top and everybody knows what the expectation is for them. That control should be easy and based on KPIs that everybody recognizes and can clearly target. The planning that managers make is based on the resources available. It doesn't require any creativity. And usually it's possible for managers to request resources, to be approved for resource requests. The subordinates, the lower staff, should be coordinated quite easily. And, some people like to be directed, and that creates trust. When the organization is functioning, the people at the lower levels will just trust the people at the higher levels because they seem to be working. So those are advantages, and I'll post this video as well. Disadvantages of tall structures, we can imagine. Disadvantage of a tall structure would be what? You can imagine is slow, right? Tall organizations have many levels, so if there's a real problem at the customer level, it may take a long time before the top management realizes it, which is dangerous. Communication may not only be delayed, but it may go through other channels and filters, meaning that maybe some management doesn't communicate well to, or they have their own motivations in the system. So the motivations of people in the middle management might kind of distort or change the understanding between the top management and the customer. It's expensive, costly, lots of money for many managers. It's difficult sometimes to coordinate the activities at different levels. I think it's actually harder, it's not such a problem on levels, but it's a problem in departments. The departments in a tall structure tend to be separate, so they can be competitive with one another instead of working together. There's strict supervision, so employees' motivations have to come from very basic things like salaries and sometimes threats, right? Okay, so the employees are not motivated by inspiration for their job. And tall organizations are not suitable for routine and standardized jobs. What? I don't think I agree with that. Tall organizational structures are mostly suitable for standardized jobs. They're not suitable for customized jobs. So if you're trying to make something to suit every customer, then you really want creative input from your staff and not a tall structure. isn't that the same thing as disadvantages? We just saw this. So, flat structures, what do they offer in terms of benefits? Flat structures have less managers. Theoretically, they're cheaper, they cost less, but only if the business is successful. Quick decisions and action can be taken, so to meet the demands and changes in markets and competitors, you may be able to make quick decisions that will help you to survive. Fast and clear communication is possible among the levels. The subordinates feel quite free a little bit to make decisions. They feel empowered, they feel confident, they feel like they enjoy working for the organization. I don't know why they're doing this. This is not. It's more suitable for activities that have, like a doctor, right? A doctor is not doing the same thing over and over again. A doctor has, each patient has individual problems and complications and systems that need to be taken into account. Very customized. So I disagree. This is more suitable for more specialized and customized customer situations. So in this situation, they say also it may be a benefit that the superiors are closer to their staff. They feel better with their staff, and there's a closer relationship and more commitment by the employees. Limitations of flat structure. I don't think you need to watch this whole 26-minute video that I post. I think the point of the video is, if you want to watch it, you can watch it, but the point of it is, these lists are generally helpful. What is limitation? Flat structures. So bigger span of control, right? There's more employees under one manager. So things can get too loose or a little bit out of control because there could be poor discipline. Unless people are really committed to the organization and the organization treats them well, then the employees will tend to spend more time with each other than they will with the management, and it could lead to poor discipline. The relationships between supervisors, superiors, and subordinates can be bad. Well, I mean, that's true in any situation with any manager. The employees, again, may feel competitive with one another because they're mostly on the same level. 3, there may be problems with teamwork because there's too many subordinates under one manager. They might lack direction. There might be a middle area where some staff would like to have, okay, they're empowered, but they would like to have a little bit more sense of what the goals are that they're trying to achieve. Disputes, handling, it's sometimes not clear whose responsibility. If you're in a team structure or everybody's on the same level, it's sometimes unclear. It's like, Bill, you're supposed to take out the garbage. Why me? I'm on the same level as you. You take out the garbage, right? Who's got responsibility for what? Create problems of coordination. You need really good supervisors to be able to be people managers and to understand the motivations of your staff. And again, I don't understand why they say it may not be suitable for complex activities. Maybe they're using the word complex differently. Now, if complex means that mass production of millions of the same product over and over again, yes, it is unsuitable for that. But it is suitable for web design. It is suitable for making games and having creative talent in one room. It is suitable for doctors and teachers too, and skilled workers. So that is it. It's a quick comparison of tall and flat structures. Next week we get to complex organizations, which include, in our book, if you want to preview, it's the next 3 pages about matrix and network structures. Everybody have a nice weekend.